the IFTA auditors or IRP auditors, they're required to audit 3% every year.
You're listening to the BulkLoads podcast, your number one resource for everything bulk freight trucking. And this is episode 236.
Hey guys, Jared Flynn with the BulkLoads podcast. Got Tyler in here with me.
What's going on?
Oh man, we're getting things ramped up.
Yeah, we are.
Like, just a lot going on. A
Yep.
lot of good things.
Busy.
You've been crazy busy with the upcoming conference. Hopefully, if you haven't heard, or hopefully you have heard by now, but if not, I think there still are. We're close to selling out, right?
Yeah. I would think we only got 10 tickets left.
Yeah, but if you're listening to this and want to come, we are hosting our first of many BulkLoads bulk freight conferences. We have some of the top industry leaders from across the board to come together. Our goal is to get a lot of bright, like-minded people together and see what we can come up with to help each other and solve the industry problems, but also just strengthen our industry as it is.
Yeah. Yep. There's going to be lots of exciting things. We have multiple different speakers, panels, stuff like that. But there's also going to be some cool swag items that are going to be exclusive to the conference, as well as some company announcements that we're doing that I think a lot of these guys are going to be excited about.
Yeah, some upcoming things. Yep. We don't want to give those away. But yeah, February 8th, 9th here in Springfield, Missouri. If you can go to bulkfreightconference.com to register and get tickets. It's really inexpensive. We're not even this isn't a money-making event. This is just to get people in the door and here. If you cannot afford it, I'll say that, let me know. I'd be glad to help you out. But we want to see you here. We know that there is, February is always kind of iffy weather-wise. We know a lot of you guys out there can't shut down the operation for a day or two to come.
Yep.
And we totally get that. But if you are interested, please let us know. We would love to see you there. Tyler, today I bring back Padgett Smith. We had her on our last summer on our podcast.
Yeah.
Well, you know better than I did. It was probably one of our most downloaded shows. She came on and talked about her company called The Permit Shop, based right here in Springfield. They help truckers with everything compliance.
Yep.
Everything I don't like to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, they, if you are brand new or thinking about getting into trucking, they can walk you through from A to Z on every step you need to take to make sure that you're covering everything, getting your DOT authority. IFTA, she says stuff that I still don't, being in the industry for years, I still don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
But your UCR filings, your MCS 150, your 2290 filings, their company does it all. Tyler will put her information in the notes, but we would bring her back on, just talk about right now. We're in the beginning of the year. There's a lot going on. She said her office is really busy right now doing UCR filings, but she talks about some of the things you need to be looking for in that, making sure that you do get your UCR filing. So I had a great conversation with her. Man, I think you'll love this. We're going to keep bringing her on. We are continuing to strengthen kind of our relationships with Padgett. We know that her services complement a little bit what we do. We have a lot of companies that we can work together to help them and create kind of a one-stop shop with her. So just excited for Padgett and how we're working together to help you all out as customers. So with that said, here is my conversation with Padgett Smith of the Permit Shop. Padgett, welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Been a little bit.
It has been.
We've changed offices.
And it's beautiful.
What do you think of the new podcast studio?
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Much cooler in here.
I know. The last time, I think it was it was hot outside and we were up in that
It was
loft.
July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I felt bad after that one.
I made it.
Yeah. We did without a hiccup. I think it went really well. And speaking of, it was one of our most downloaded podcasts in 2022. So thank you for that. But I think it shows the importance of what you all do at the Permit Shop, especially, and how important it is to our client base and listeners on BulkLoads.
Yes, we have taken a lot of calls as a result of the podcast too. So thank you for that.
And you are getting into podcast yourself?
I am. I'm going to be launching a podcast here in the next couple of weeks. And
what's the name of it?
Mother Trucker.
Mother Trucker.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're listening, be on the lookout for Mother Trucker.
Yes.
I have to be careful. I say that nice and slow.
Wanted it to be catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. So, and yeah, as that probably comes, as you get that live, we'll definitely push that out.
Absolutely.
Through
Thank
our
you for
mediums.
that.
Yeah. And cross markets. So I wanted to bring you back again. It was a well downloaded, most listened to podcast. We talked about afterwards that we're going to have to continue this,
Yes.
have you drop in, especially since you're a fellow 417er too. We know our business segments kind of complement each other. And
That they do.
Very thankful for that. But talk to us, Padgett, about, we're at the beginning of the year. Things are moving. There's a lot on the back end.
A lot.
Especially from licensing and legal. But I'm going to let you take it from there. Right now, if you're an owner-operator or any trucking company, what's going on right now, from a back end standpoint?
Well, I can speak about what's happening here in Missouri right now. It's IFTA decals that we're taking more phone calls about IFTA decals right now. And
for someone that may not be in the trucking realm, but they're listening to this because they're interested, what is that?
Well, so an IFTA decal, if you are a truck over 26,000 pounds and you're crossing into 2 jurisdictions, so you're crossing state lines, or if you have 3 axles, you are required to have an IFTA license in your base state. And the decals represent that you have IFTA. So when DOT is looking at you, they know that you're participating in the IFTA. But what happens is, and most owner-operators or drivers don't realize, that the next year's IFTA license is generated based off of your third quarter IFTA filing. So if you file your third quarter on time, supposedly you are in the good position to receive your 23 IFTA license and your 23 IFTA decals. What has happened, and I just learned this today from Missouri Motor Carriers, they had a batch that they were going to be processing and it glitched. The batch didn't process. So we're taking a lot of calls right now that our carriers don't have IFTA decals. But the grace of this right now is that IFTA gives a grace period up until February 28th. So they're going to leave everybody alone until the 28th of February. As long as they had a 22 IFTA license, they're good to go.
When you say leave them alone, DOT leave them alone, you're talking about like when these guys are out on the road, when they're going across a way station.
Correct.
If they may get pulled over by a DOT official, that's what you mean. This isn't
Yep.
something where they're looking online and they're seeing that something's okay.
If they're crossing a scale,
okay,
and they get pulled in, they're not going to get a ticket because they don't have their decals on the side of their trucks. The grace period is until the 28th of February. So we're fielding a lot of calls about that right now. The other thing that is also that they are no nonsense about is the UCR. Coming off of December, December is a very large renewal month for your plates, your portion plates. And they just, if you don't have a UCR, they are fining you. And that is...
In layman's terms too, I always want to break that down for people listening. What is that?
The UCR is the Unified Carrier Registration Program, and it replaced the single state registration years ago. And what it's designed to do is based on the number of trucks that your DOT number says that you have, and they look at it. And so if you're not updating your MCS 150, which, by the way, you're supposed to do if you have a change to your DOT, and that could be if you've purchased another truck, you want to make sure you get that updated. If your drivers are fluctuating, you want to make sure that data is correct. But the UCR now funds safety components. So the states are using that money to DOT safety trainings and such. So no nonsense on it. If you don't have your 23 UCR filed, you better get it filed because you will get fined for it. And that's going to be the interpretation of who's pulling you over.
Okay.
But they are looking. And it is driving the IFTA renewals. So you will not be issued a 23 IFTA license if your UCR is not filed. They will not issue your apportion plates if your UCR is not filed. They all work together. And like state of Kentucky, they'll suspend your account as well if your UCR is not up to date. So UCR drives a lot of those IRP and IFTA, and I mean, they all are talking. So our office is busy right now of trying to get those filed because either someone's been pulled over or they just got the memo that they needed it.
What could be some reasons why someone wouldn't have it filed right now?
Out of sight, out of mind.
They just forgot about it.
They've just forgot about it.
They didn't put it on their calendar. I mean, on that filing alone, is there something that these guys get in the mail or something that they get notified?
Oh, they are notified. Depending on what state they're registered in, they'll get notices from their state to let them know that their UCR is due. The UCR filing opens up October 1st, and you have until December 31st to get that filed. And so it is based off of the number of trucks. They look back. So they look at what you were reporting in the month of July. And for example, if you said you had 100 trucks, but you filed a UCR for 50, they will come back and they will get you for that difference of the 50 trucks.
How do they know the difference?
Because of registration, because they can look to see how many trucks you've registered. That they do all work together with that. So,
wow.
And I have seen it. And so they'll come back and make them pay.
So could another reason, you said out of sight, out of mind, but could it be just the cost? How much?
I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I knew what the answer is. If it's something like, hey,
it's end of the year, Christmas time.
I'm talking
about a small business. Like I don't have the funds. I'm going to wait, or even into the new year, I have some like unexpected expenses. But I didn't know if this is it something somebody just doesn't.
We don't always
funds?
Know what the reason is when we get the phone call.
Yep.
I mean, we're
and I'm just speculating.
17th day of January, and we're still filing UCRs. I mean, we send out, if you're a client of the permit shop, we remind you.
Yep.
We're not going to hound you, but we're going to remind you that it's due. And I mean, we still have calls coming in every day to renew that. So
that is the perfect plug of why people should be using your services.
That's exactly why.
It wasn't even intended, but I want to point that out. Yeah, that's why. Hey, like myself, who I am not good at paperwork, even those filings, forgetting about that stuff. Like, why not pay for a service and professionals that's all they do?
Correct.
And again, I'm not saying this to give you a plug. I'm just saying this to guys out there. For your own peace of mind, you guys are good at driving the truck, getting the business, running the business, but that back end, unless you have someone full time that can manage that, why not?
Why not? We say the same thing.
Yeah,
why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else is going on right now? What else should guys be looking at or thinking about as we start off this new year? Again, we're in January now. We're going to be hitting Feb, March, April. I know you can't just wait on some of this stuff.
No, I mean, our deadlines at the permit shop, I mean, we have a deadline almost every month. From being a renewal to IFTA filings. So it's continuous. Right now, starting out the year, I would just make sure, I would remind all of the carriers and owner-operators out there to maintain good records. I have seen a lot of IFTA audits, a lot of IFTA and IRP audits coming through.
So when you say keeping good records, again, I want to dive into that because what does that mean? For me, when I'm purchasing things or everything's digital now, do I need to keep any paper copies of anything?
Well, our clients, we have ranges. We have clients who are still using logbooks because they want to drive an older truck and they can get away with that now. And we have drivers that have ELDs. My reminder to that is you might want to check with your ELD and make sure that you're downloading the data. There's a misnomer that the ELDs will always store your information, and that is not true. I've been in several audits where my client has assumed that their ELD had all of those records, and they missed the fine print that they're responsible for making those downloads and keeping that record. The ELD company is not. So you get into an audit situation, you can't prove where you've been because you didn't keep a paper log because you didn't have to. That's why you have an ELD, and now you don't have records. So I just would remind everybody that you have to maintain those records. And if you're purchasing fuel and you have a fuel card, make sure you're keeping that and keeping track of it. If you have an IFTA license, you have to account for every mile that truck turns. It doesn't matter if it's personal. It doesn't matter if you're empty or loaded. It is every mile that truck turns, you are required to pay tax on that. So, and the auditors will find it. And I mean, that's what they do. And in Missouri, the IFTA auditors or IRP auditors, they're required to audit 3% every year. So you could be doing everything correct and still get pulled for an audit. And a lot of our customers think that maybe they've done something wrong and that's why they're being audited. But the fact is they're required to audit 3% every year. And that goes off of the size of the carrier. So 3% of some of the smaller carriers and 3% of the larger carriers they have to look at.
And from your knowledge, it's just a random.
It's random.
It doesn't matter whether there's something. It's not something that's red flagged.
Correct. And if they were red flagged, the auditor isn't going to tell me that. If you are working with the permit shop and we're taking care of your IFTA filings, I will represent and help assist through the IFTA audit.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. In these situations where you do get audited or there's something and a customer is using your service or clients, you guys will assist them through that.
Correct.
Through that process.
Yep, we do. Only because we did the work.
Yeah.
Now our clients are the ones turning in the paperwork. We also in our office do not house paperwork either. So if you're one of our clients, we'll only hold back a previous quarter just to make sure that the continuity is there. But I'm not a storage facility either. So if you send us your stuff, we're sending it back because we don't want it. But the clients are responsible to hang on to that for 4 years.
And I guess you all coach your clients on, you're talking about these records, but what to keep.
Yes.
Making sure, hey, keep this.
Yes.
Make sure you have a file of this so they know exactly what to do.
Correct.
With that information.
But I don't get to talk to everybody. So
yeah.
Sometimes we obtain clients because they did get an audit and they don't know what to do. But really the whole point of the audit is to make sure that you don't owe money or that they don't owe you money and that you've accounted and said that you were where you were at. So but the IFTA also drives your apportion plate. They always do a look back, and they'll ask when you renew your apportion plates, they want to look at a period from July 1 till June 30th of the following year of where you went, and that's how they pay the states for the states that you drove in. Mm-hmm. So that's what your plate is based off of. So the two, they're not the same, but they work together, and they'll audit the IRP just like they will the IFTA.
Wow.
So
I have one last question for this podcast. I'm sure we're going to have you back in many more. But I was showing you around earlier some of our staff members. Let you met our head of bulk insurance group, Larry, which he's been on the podcast. A lot of clients have gotten to know him. We've been very blessed and gracious in the amount of feedback and truckers that we've onboarded onto our insurance plan or our insurance company. But he was saying that they field a lot of calls on truckers wanting to get hazmat.
Yes.
And they don't know sometimes where to refer them till now, but talk to us about that process. I know you asked the question, like, do they really need that? But like, there's some of these companies, they get on BulkLoads, they find an account where they're going to be hauling something that requires hazmat, whether it's tank or there's hazmat hopper stuff. Mm-hmm. Walk us through that process, because it is getting more popular. And I think guys know that, hey, if I do get this, there's more work that I can get, maybe better paying loads, more profitable loads because of that.
Right.
Tell us how someone goes about getting that.
So if you want to have a hazmat authority, you have to be crystal clear on what you're going to be hauling. I can't just get you a hazmat authority because you think you want to haul a hazmat load. You have to know what it is that you're going to be hauling. And if you call to the permit shop, we're going to ask you, what class of hazmat are you going to be hauling? We have our hazmat books too. We can help to decipher what that division or what that class is based off of what you think you're going to be hauling. But for just a carrier to want that authority, you can't. It's not like having your motor carrier authority where you're going to haul general freight, because we can do that all day long. General freight's general freight. But if you want an authority for hazmat, it's specific to what hazmat commodity you're hauling. So it could be a 3.1. You have to delineate that when you're getting your authority. And then, of course, you have to have the insurance that follows it. And your insurance carrier is going to want to know what it is that you're hauling. But we can assist through that. But just to have a blanket hazmat authority, you can't.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You have to know what it is that you're going to be hauling.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys on bulk loads, because we're going to get into fertilizer season coming up here this spring. But I think a lot of them haul ammonium nitrate, I think, which is a hazmat.
It is.
And
I can't tell you what the class is right off the top of my head.
I was going to quiz you. No, I'm kidding. But I think that's when I know a lot of guys, especially in the hopper dry bulk. I think Larry was even talking earlier, a lot of these guys that look into liquid hauling, and there's a lot of liquid.
If they know what they're hauling, it's, is it bulk or is it non-bulk?
Yep.
And we ask all of those questions when you call in, because again, we have to know it to be able to obtain that authority for you. But fertilizer is one. You do have to, it's a placard load. So you do have to have an authority for it. And you can request to get a 1-year hazmat authority, a 2-year, or 3. And it renews July 1. So if you're a client, we remind you of that, and we can renew it for you when it's coming due.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you as always for coming on.
Thanks
Before
for
you go,
having me.
though, I want to, and we'll put this in the episode notes. So if you listen to this, but I wasn't passionate. If someone's listening to this and they're like, hey, I think you all could do a better job, or I don't like doing this back end, all this paperwork, the IFTA, the UCR, the MCS 150. Like, I want somebody to take care of that. I want to have a peace of mind knowing that it's being handled properly, that if I do get audited, it's not going to be a disaster. How do they get a hold of you? What's the next steps?
So the next steps would be to contact the office. The number for that is 417-833-3355. You can call in and ask whatever questions that you have. If you receive a solicitation in the mail, which we get a lot of phone calls from that, because if you're out there on the road, you know how many solicitors that are telling you that your MCS 150 needs to be updated, or you're going to go to jail. We have a lot of those. Just call in and ask us. We'll tell you. We'll shoot you straight up if you need to update it or if you don't.
And that's free, right?
It's free. I mean, you got to call us.
Yeah.
And we also are working on sending out just educational emails, not emails. We're not looking to solicit you. I don't want to do business that way. I want my clients to know that what the rules of the game are. There are too many rules out there and too many people not being honest about stuff. And I won't do that. So the emails that, if you're a client of ours, that you'll start seeing are going to be educational, like, why do we even have IFTA? Or why do you need to file your UCR on time? But I feel like education is key. If you know about it, then, I mean, because I think I said on my earlier podcast, DOT doesn't give you grace for ignorance. You need to know. Yeah. And if you're out there on the road, you should know. But it's not as easy to be an expert in it. That's why you're going to call someone who knows about it, and we'll tell you.
I'll probably pull this if I'm wrong, but you all don't do anything tax-wise.
We don't.
Okay, I didn't think so.
I originally, when I took over from Paul, I owned an accounting business and wanted to bring that in. Staffing-wise, though, I don't have. I mean, it would
capacity.
Be me, and I don't have the capacity to offer that. So we don't do taxes, so to speak, but we do file 2290s, which are heavy highway use tax. We do that.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could call our office for that, but as far as income taxes, I'm out on that one.
And even just basic accounting.
No.
Yep. So you're more just the permitting,
just the permits, the license,
the licensing, and all that, which is still a lot.
It's
to
still a
deal
lot.
with. Yeah.
I just don't have the capacity
Yep.
to jump off into the accounting, but
Yep.
although I know it's needed,
Yeah.
and these listeners also know that it is needed. So I just am not offering that at this time.
Yeah. Fair enough. Awesome. Hey, thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun. Thanks.
Tyler, I'm going to jinx myself when I say this. I've never been audited. I hope I never get
Yeah.
audited. Not that I've done anything bad, but like it just sounds like a painful process. But
yeah,
that was interesting how she said that IFTA IRP, they are required to audit 3% of all trucking companies out there. And I know
Wow.
I have talked to companies just because we deal with thousands, like the people that have had to go through these audits, and they are painful to go through because it's not so much finding errors, but it's just the time that it takes
Yeah.
to get that. So I think Padgett reinforced that, like, hey, make sure that you're saving your paperwork. You are organized. Again, her services, they can help you with that. I like she says they get a lot of this paperwork in, but they send it back to the carriers for them to file. But I think, like me, I'm not good at that organization. I rely heavily on people here at BulkLoads, but even my wife at home, just because I know that's not a specialty of mine. But man, stay organized right now because it's going to pay off at the end of the year when you have to reconcile a lot of this paperwork.
Yeah. I like Patrick coming on as a recurring guest just because, man, especially with the government and compliance and all that, it's changing from year to year, even month to month.
Yep.
So just getting an update from her on what's going on, how she can help you, and kind of tell you what you need to do. That's awesome.
And she explains things so crystal clear. There's some people, when they tell me this, I'm like, okay, slow back down.
Yeah.
Put that into bite sizes. But I think you can tell by listening to her on the show, she's very knowledgeable, but easy to understand. And just, I think this breaks this stuff down into layman's terms so we can understand as carriers. There's new regulations always popping up, things changing. They are staying on top of that. So Tyler's going to put their information in. But yeah, if you would like a service like Padgett's, look at the episode notes here, go to the permit shop. You can get a hold of them. They'll be glad to walk you through. And again, they can give you a lot of advice, free advice too. And then if you choose to use their service, that's just a bonus for them. But there's a lot of things they can help you out right now. So go ahead and reach out to them. Tyler, calendars finally came in.
Finally.
Maybe a little late, but the 2023 BulkLoads calendars are out. They are sharp. We did them our first time last year. They were such a success. We ordered again for this year. We got whole new trucking companies on there. Man, I was looking through it. I took one home, and I think I've said this before. My kids love them.
Yeah.
And we put one in my boys' room, and we were looking at the pictures, and man, they are sharp. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you. We, props to the guys who sent out pictures. We really thank you for sending all those in. There's a lot of good ones. I think.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's only 12
700.
calendar months. I mean, we would love to put all 500 on there, but
Yeah.
keep sending them in. We want to get you on there maybe next year. Maybe there's a way that we can double these up or something. Man, they are just like, I could look at them every day.
Yeah.
It's just, I almost get excited to turn to the next month. It's like that dopamine hit when you look at this truck and their setup. So, and again, it's all bulk companies. So there's hoppers, end dumps, tankers, pneumatics. I mean, anything bulk related, and BulkLoads clients of ours. So if you would like a calendar, what do they need to do, Tyler?
Yep. Simply, you can either go onto the forum on BulkLoads, reply that you want one there, or simply send an email to support@bulkloads.com. We'll shoot you one out.
They're free, right?
Right. Free. Yep. We'll send one out to you completely for free. If you want a bulk order of them, then we can talk kind of pricing on that.
Yep.
Or you can also go to our social media Facebook page. There's a post on there. Simply comment or message in our Facebook page. I'll be responding to those, and we'll get you one.
Yep. So you can call in here, go to our forum, and you can request one. And man, we would gladly love to send you one of those as a thank you for being a listener and member on BulkLoads. Anything else we need to cover?
I think that's pretty much it. Got some exciting stuff. We got the BulkLoads conference that you mentioned in the intro, but we also got Mid-America Truck Show right after that.
Yeah. We, man, it's exciting, but overwhelming. We have an exciting year. Yeah. We're also going to be at the Mid-America Truck Show. Is that the first week of April? Is that right?
Yep. It'll be about March 29th through April 1st.
Yeah. So if you are planning to attend, make sure and plan to see us there. We have quadrupled our size and presence there.
Yep.
We had such a good turnout last year. We met 300 plus of our clients out there. We want to make that bigger, and we know that it's a great spot to meet so many people at one spot, which just makes it super sweet. So plan on the Mid-America Truck Show, Louisville, Kentucky. We want to see you there as well. So
we'll have some giveaways each day too.
Yeah. I don't want to. There's a
Lots
really
of
nice
good
giveaway
stuff.
that you've come up with.
Yep.
That if you don't like it, your kid will. I will put it that way.
But you'll like it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, as always, thank you for listening to the BulkLoads podcast. If you know somebody that can value from this, man, please share this episode. All podcast mediums make it so easy to share. So just hit that share link and either text or send to someone that you know that can find value in this. We would appreciate that and be very grateful to you for that. So thank you very much. God bless.